What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we discuss and celebrate our favorites in TV and film. I'm your host, Xavier, and we're back in the studio. And I'm joined by the usual suspects. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, hello,
That's
What's
Anthony,
up?
Danny,
What's up, guys?
gentlemen.
back in his little corner, Zach.
Back in my wheel corner.
What's going on, gentlemen? So we had a little bit of homework. Last week, I recommended an amazing comedy to watch so that we can discuss it today. If we didn't catch last week's episode, riding the Paul Rudd hype train from Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, I brought up one of Paul Rudd's best comedies. It's a little known film from 2009. Yeah, from 2009 called I Love You, Man. This movie is one of my personal favorites of his, and just one of my personal favorite comedies in general, because of maybe it's the themes of just the corniness, but the themes of friendship, but also the wackiness of both Paul Rudd and Jason Segel. They make an amazing pair. Like, they had a bit of that really fun kind of chemistry in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and John Hamburg and DreamWorks Pictures decided, let's make a movie about that. And with that, we got a chance to watch it. Got a chance to watch it all together. I open the floor up to you three. What did you guys think? I mean, you two specifically, because Anthony and I have seen this movie too many times. But what did you guys think?
Yeah.
oh,
Well, Zach and I, it was our first time watching it, so we got to see it yesterday all together, which is pretty cool. I definitely had a fun time.
Fun times were had
Fun
for
time.
sure. Zach?
yeah. Now I have seen like bits and pieces, like maybe like specific scenes here and there, either on YouTube or Instagram or something. But I hadn't seen like the actual movie in its entirety. But it was really enjoyable, really funny. It wasn't like stupid comedy. It was actually like thought out kind of comedy.
Yeah, everything had a sort of purpose. There were a lot of the callback jokes that we'll get into later. The cast was really fit every role that they were in. There was just a lot of small gags, but at the same time a bit of that honest to goodness natural emotion of just when people become friends. It's pretty awesome. I was quite impressed. I was like, man, it's pretty cool. I remember, I don't know, Anthony, did we watch this in the theater the first time? Or
I'm pretty sure we did, because it was I think it was like the year before we saw Role Models, and then the year after, like, oh man, another Paul Rudd movie. Oh, Jason Segel, we gotta watch this. So I'm pretty sure we all went to the theater.
Yeah, and I do remember there were just little things that just that a lot of the the characters say that are just so over the they just strike the weird nerve in your brain that just makes you just laugh by I don't know, can't describe it without going right into everything that we want to talk about the movie. But yeah, it's Paul Rudd, Jason Segel, Rashida Jones is Paul Rudd's love interest. You have it's funny seeing Zach's reaction when they find out Jon Favreau's in it as a bit part as Jamie Presley's husband. You have
It's right after he did Iron Man.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a year after Iron Man came out, and I guess that must have been in the can for a bit. But you also had Andy Samberg, J.K. Simmons. You have Rob Hubel, just in the beginning of peak Rob Hubel. Nick Kroll and Aziz Ansari play these small side characters. A lot of just people that are now really famous, or at least did stuff with UBC or Upright Citizens Brigade. As well as Thomas Lennon, if you've ever seen Reno 911, Joe Latruglio, who ended up starring with Andy Samberg on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Just a lot of these people have just been in a whole bunch of other small comedies or other funny stuff in general, that even Matt Walsh is in there. Is one of my favorite bit characters in this movie. But he just everybody just you roll up, you're like, I've seen these people before. And
Yeah, especially if you watch
really good.
either The Office or Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you'll recognize a lot of these actors.
Yeah, they I guess Michael Schur likes all of them now. And they're like, hey, do you want to be in this? Do
Yeah.
you want to be in this? And those people show up in random stuff. Wait, wasn't Matt Walsh also in an episode of Community?
Yeah,
He was the
I think he's one of the janitors, right?
no, he was the remember the trampoline?
Yes, the racist trampoline guy, or he was the gardener
He was the gardener
for
that
the secret garden.
secret trampoline garden. He keep what was he kept what was the one line he kept saying? It was like, you have to he's like, oh man, you just have a special ability to jump high.
Don't double bounce.
And also don't double bounce.
Watch Community.
That's our weekly reminder for every episode. Please watch Community. And then it's directed by John Hamburg. Oh, and I'm forgetting the best like long extended cameo of all time, which is Lou Ferrigno. That was surprisingly
The Hulk.
Yeah. The
no,
Hulk
it's
from the
Lou
TV show.
Ferrigno. He has a name. He has emotions. No, dude, that was so much fun. But yeah, basically the whole story is about Peter, who's played by Paul Rudd, is proposing to his fiance, played by Rashida Jones, and she wants to, organize the whole wedding, but the whole thing comes to the realization that Peter doesn't really have a lot of guy friends. He just kind of throws himself and ingratiates himself with the female friends in his significant other's life, and now that he's getting married, it kind of through circumstances dawns on him that I need to somehow go and make friends. And the whole movie is building up with these hilarious situations of him trying to just meet platonic male friends, and then he ends up running into Jason Segel's character, his name is Sydney.
Mhm.
And he meets him at Paul Rudd's job, which he's a realtor, so he opens a hosts an open house for Lou Ferrigno's mansion that he's trying to sell. So then he goes in there and just kind of like is kind of semi-crashing in and just eat there for the spread. And what he says is to try to pick up divorcee cougars. And from there, they somehow just become friends because Peter decides to just give him a call, and all of his phone calls are the most hilariously awkward mishmash of words you could ever have a human being say.
And that's like 20 minutes into the movie. After he realizes, man, I gotta get a bunch of friends to have groomsmen at my wedding and the best man, he goes on random websites or like guyfriendfinder.com or something like that and meets an assortment of different people, and I think by the time he meets Jason Segel, he's like, I already went through like four or five sort of mandates. And he's like, I think I want to give up on this.
He got catfished by an old man.
Yeah.
He got catfished by an old man. That old man's like, this picture's from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like, really,
He's
buddy?
like 90.
I'm 89 years old, and he's just like, I just learned the internet about 4 years ago. Like,
He did pretty
He's
good.
like, you're really good at it now.
yeah, you're really good at it now. Basically, yeah, just catfishing you to hell. And then so his gay brother, played by Andy Samberg, gets the idea to try to like just set him up with people that he knows because he's a trainer at an Equinox in LA, and he sets him up with Joe Latruglio's character. And he has one of the best traits in a comedy movie ever. I can't even finish it. I forget the guy's name, but he's like, no, he's a really cool dude. Just go hang out with him. He's like, no, he's Elmo. And he goes out to an LA Galaxy like MLS game, and his whole thing is like his voice squeaks in like strange patterns. So he's just like, here we go, Galaxy, here we go. Like, and like he almost gets into a fight in the stands because some guy's like, shut up. He's like, hey, you shut up. Like, it's so hilarious. And then when he's at the gym,
He's like, thanks for coming out, man. This is awesome.
this is awesome. Dude, when he's
They
at the
did that
gym,
the whole movie.
dude,
Yeah, it
when
was-
he's
it
at the
was
gym,
great.
everything you got. We use this movie has a whole bunch of like little references that like Anthony and I will always make callbacks to because of just how memorable a lot of these lines were.
Yeah, it's very quotable.
It's indeed a quotable movie, and that's why I'm so happy that you guys got to watch this. And but like going through it, like some of like kind of like want to do a rundown of some of our favorite parts because he and I can like not verbatim quote the movie, but it can be an entertaining exchange. But I want to know what you two guys thought about it, like what were some of the more memorable sequences or memorable scenes for you?
I mean, what you were just mentioning memorable quotes. I mean, slap of the bass.
Slap of the best, man. The best part is like every time Peter put some type of accent, everybody immediately assumes he's trying to be a leprechaun.
Yeah, it's a running joke throughout the movie that whenever he does some from a weird voice, it sounds like the Lucky Charms. Leprechaun.
Get out of my car and into my dreams. They're doing this. Dude,
Even Jason Segel was like, "Oh, am I gonna go into your pot of gold?" He's like, "Why does everybody think I sound like a leprechaun?"
the thing is, like Sydney's character, so like matter of fact, frank, and honest that it's like refreshing because you see Peter as a character is always like kind of like tiptoe around things because obviously he's been around a lot of like feminine energy and in a way that like he's never got the chance to kind of like just
Be a
have be a dude and
that
and
bro
have more
energy.
of the get the bro energy on it. And it's cool to see him kind of evolve on it. Like they start jamming out to their favorite band and they have fun walks down Venice Beach where Sydney does not pick up after his dog at all. And they end up having
I think they show it like 3 times where people step on
yeah.
his dog's poop.
Each time was a different reaction too.
and each time and like there's one point where it's in a different point and like it's that like every comedy has like all the cool stuff going on and then you have the low point and then it roller coasters back up to ends on a really great high. So at like the low point of the film, Sydney, he's kind of walking alone with the dog and this girl kind of on the beach steps on all the dog's crap and just like what the hell.
She's cursing him out. She's like, "Clean after your dog."
He's just like
He just ignores it.
your
Just keeps
dumbass
walking.
scarf, you asshole, and he's just like sad. He's just walking around not caring. It's like that running gag was great. I remember this one. It took me rewatching this one again to remember the term he used for people who look like their dogs. He calls them Bowsers. And
Yeah, I think that's a little
yeah,
weird.
that's
No connection to
no connection to the
Mario.
yeah, Koopa King Bowser, but it's so good. How about the first mandate he goes on? It's the guy is played by Thomas Lennon, and he ends up. I guess that man mistakes it for a date.
Oh yeah, his name was Doug.
Doug, yes,
Doug.
yeah. We'll go to this Japanese place, and he just starts like making out with.
Well,
He's
the
just
dinner.
standing there.
Well, the dinner, they both made it seem like they were trying their best, or at least Thomas Lennon's character, Doug, was trying to make himself look straight. And he was like, "Oh, man, look at the behind on that waitress." And then they both made weird looks at each other like, "Oh, man, she's so hot." And then by the end of the date, you realize, oh, this guy's gay. He thought it was a date. And then he goes and kisses Paul Rudd's character without him realizing. He's like, "Oh, that's not what I thought this was."
Dude, the callback from that to later on when they're on I
With
think
the
they're in
suit.
the Grove, the mall of the Grove, like in tuxedo shopping, and he finds them at the tuxedo place.
It's like, how dare you?
It was the taste of betrayal.
I thought I had a great kiss, but it was the taste of betrayal. No, it wasn't. It was the taste of betrayal. You effing whore.
And then Sydney's just enjoying it. He's just standing
He's like,
there.
"I can't wait to hear that story."
He's just like, it's not what I want to know everything, dude. It's awesome. Oh man, and like Sydney's man cave. You never see. Funny fact about the movie: you never see any point of the inside of Sydney's
Of his
house.
actual house.
It's
yeah.
only the man cave,
It's a great man cave.
and
Yeah.
it is a stellar man. There's like 2 TVs, like
He had
stacked.
three.
A couple of
I think there were
TVs.
3.
Were there 3? Yeah.
Couple
He's
TVs, a
got
whole drum set, a bunch
all
of
the
guitars,
guitars,
All
basses.
guitar and bass, drums,
double
drums.
bass.
Yeah, he had a legit double bass.
Did he have like a pinball machine in there too?
I
think-
think probably.
I think he
Most
did.
likely.
Pretty sure I saw one.
And he had a station also where he relieved himself. He's like, "No, I don't bring women in here. I have a jack off station." Like, no, like he's like, "That's not what this is." And it was great. Just like seeing again,
It's the
like,
man cave. No
yeah.
women are coming here.
and it was like funny because at first you have like Peter trying to like he stumbled into like the girls' night that his fiance had, and that's where he kind of heard everybody's like, oh, he doesn't have any guy friends. Like, what's gonna happen? It's gonna be an uneven, like a wedding party, and he kind of felt subconscious about it there, but still came up with Pepperidge Farm chocolate pirouettes, Pepperidge Farm. So, dude, it's great. Just and then I don't know, like me overall, like I like the movie because it's just like kind of what it. Maybe we're biased because we're guys, but like there's a lot of really fun stuff, just like the good like camaraderie there. Yeah, it's
A good
awesome.
bromance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
A
romance
bromantic-
and a lot of
romantic comedy.
fun, awkward comedy too. That Paul Rudd is like a master at.
dude. How about I think Zach's favorite was just like he's trying to make up names for Sydney because Sydney keeps calling him Pistol. He's like, oh, Pistol Pete. Yeah, Pistol Pete. Dude, what was your favorite like attempt at like a nickname?
They were also bad.
I want to say it was, I think, the second one he came up with when they were in the man cave. Because I honestly don't know what was it Jobin?
Jobin was the first one.
Jobin was the first one.
I
See you
don't
later,
know.
Jobin.
Yeah, it was when they were saying bye to each other at the restaurant after their first
Saying Jobin?
essential
Yeah.
mandate, and he's like, "All right, man, see you later, Pistol." He's like, "See you later, Jobin." He's like, "Sorry, I'm drunk and I have no idea what Jobin is."
He's like, I don't know what Jobin. I'm sorry. And then like he comes up with something else. He's like, it's better than Jobin. And then,
I forgot what the second one was, but because Jobin, I don't know if that's not a reference to anything, right? It's just
No,
a
he's
just
random word he came up
a
with.
random word
Okay.
he came up with.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff he said was just randomly like
It was just gibberish.
you're like,
Like
how'd
random,
you come up?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the movie is just
like
like
ad lib
improv.
and stuff,
Yeah.
improv, yeah.
Dude, like the first like phone call he made to try to like meet up to go like, oh, let's go hang out.
The longest voicemail ever.
Yeah, it's working like a dude. He's like, call me when you have a mo.
Mint.
Mint.
Like Mo.
Laters on the Menji. That's my favorite. Laters on the Menji. He says, wait, what? Or I will see you, or I will see you on another time.
And he's like, "I'm confused. I don't know what you're saying."
And he's just like, what? Like, it's just the realization where he's just like, I don't get anything that's going on right now. Dude, it's so hilarious.
Like he's so out of his wheelhouse and trying to find a platonic guy friend that he just doesn't know how to navigate through this situation of trying to befriend some, mid-30s guy. Every time he just stumbles. It's awesome.
dude, I forgot, but like, yeah, one of my favorite parts, and that since he starts becoming good friends with Sydney, he invites him over to the like wedding. They have like
Engagement
a sort of
party.
engagement party
Mhm.
where everybody's at the that Chinese restaurant, and his toast is
The
freaking
speech.
hilarious. Yeah, his speech is so hilarious because like beforehand, Peter like he's like, oh, they're talking about guys, they're talking about sex lives, and they're just like, I don't talk about that stuff. And you're like, oh, come on, man, it's okay. It's like, well, he divulges that his partner doesn't do a certain act, and he gets to the point where he's just like at the thing, and he's just trying to very not so slyly imply that she needs to reciprocate. And then Jon Favreau's character initially was like, I don't want to be here. I want to be here. And then he gets to that part. He's
He's
like,
invested.
oh man, I know. It's so good.
He's like, Peter's such a giving person, so just return the favor.
Give back. You'll have a happy life together. Just give a little back. it's great. And he's just like so like looking at it, but you could see a little bit in his eyes, like, oh
Like
no,
a
what did I just
twitch?
said? Yeah, like Sydney's in there, like, what did I just say? Oh no. And it was cool because then as friends, like he knows he messed up there, and he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. And then he's like, oh, that means now you have to come with me with my fiance on this double date with this girl Haley.
And he's like, I guess, fine.
yeah, he's like, you know what? You bring a good point.
Like throughout
You owe
the
me.
movie before that, he had mentioned a few times that like he doesn't like to play sports with women, and so like he's like doing this favor.
Yeah, like
to
that's
Paul Rudd, like, okay, I'll go on this double date playing golf with this other woman.
and that shows the level of friendship that's coming through. Like it's like, you know what? That I'm gonna go and embrace what is my hell to help appease and do a good favor for a good friend.
Return the favor.
Yeah. Return the favor. And well, but he said before, he's like, I don't do sport. I don't like playing sports with girls. He's like, oh, I don't like, and that way, like he has his type is basically just moderately wealthy divorcees. He says, it's my type right now. We're both looking for the same thing, and it's pretty simple. But then they go on the double date, and immediately he gets like whacked by a ball on his shin, and
There's
like,
a huge bruise.
yeah, he's just like, this is my nightmare. This is my nightmare. There's a massive welt, and he's just surviving. And then they get to a point where this girl Haley, like, she's bad. Like, she's just so bad at this. And then like the other group of people are behind him, and it's this guy
Like-
played by Matt Walsh.
Hurry up.
No, he's like, come on, man, you gotta get these ladies moving, dude. And he's like, no, and they're all like, they're trying not to create conflict, but they're still like, oh, let's try to do it. And then they get to Anthony's 3 favorite words in sequence in this entire movie.
He says it like 10 times. It's so unnecessary.
What does he tell him?
Rate of play, rate of play, rate of play, rate of play. After the third one, he could have stopped, and I think he said it like another 3
He
times.
goes like, it's like 5's the magic number of just like, wow, this is really annoying. But like the camera's right on the guy, just rate of play, rate of play, rate of play, rate of play. Like for like a year, I thought he said ready to play. I was like, what is he saying? That guy's so impatient. Oh, and it's just like he's just, and then it's like the girl, as Haley just feds up and leaves. Sydney does the Willy Wonka. He's like, oh no, please come back. Oh, it's such a travesty.
Like, I feel so bad that you're leaving.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh,
Please don't
no.
go. That was awesome. And what's cool too is you see like Sydney's other and they had that whole thing where like, oh, let's go hang out on it's Sunday. Like, oh no, and then they all have like their own lives, and then but Peter still like stays around with them, and so you kind of also see that like, oh yeah, Sydney like has other people, like he's at a point in life and everybody else at a certain point, and so he found like the kinship and bond with Peter, and they go through fun and hilarious moments. I don't like there's other stuff too, like everything with what's the name of this guy's the other realtor that he's always
Tevin.
Tevin. Yeah, what a name.
Not Kevin, not Devin.
It's Tevin.
It's Tevin.
And what was it, guys, that made him famous to that as a or like a big realtor, like how he marketed himself?
Yeah, throughout the movie, he's trying to get Paul Rudd to split the commission with him on the Lou Ferrigno house. He's like, hey, man, I could help you sell it because he's better at advertising. He's like, hey, we could go 50-50 on the deal, and I could help you out. And throughout the movie, Paul Rudd is like, I don't know. I kind of want to do it myself. He wants to prove to himself that he can do it, and he also wants all the money of the commission because he knows it'll be a lot, especially because he's paying for the wedding and the space. Because at the beginning of the movie, I believe he put a down payment on like a new lot for Rashida Jones's character to like move her business there.
Yeah.
So like he's paying for that, and he's paying for the wedding. So it's like I need to sell this house so I can get a lot of money.
Didn't he say it was like he was doing advertising on like a bench?
Yeah, he does.
bench or
He
something?
has advertised on a bench, and he says he also advertises on urinal cakes. And so he's like, yeah, man, you gotta put your face everywhere. He's like, hey, man, he's like, don't people pee on those things? He's like, yeah, they're peeing on my face all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, and guess what? And they call me. He's like, hey, don't I recognize you before? He's like, yeah, you probably peed on me.
He goes, yeah, you just peed on my you've peed on my face, friend. Like it was so like, it's God, like the guy has no shame.
But then that leads into Sydney asking for some $8,000,
That's right.
and we're all like, "What is he gonna use that for?"
Well, because he was taking the pictures of Peter
When they were doing
When
the
they were
tuxedo
like,
shopping.
the tuxedo, where I guess he pretended like he wasn't gonna take pictures, like he was gonna do it at first, but then like he's like, okay, we're not gonna do this anymore. But he did end up taking some
Yeah.
pictures, which therefore he used to use that $8,000 for marketing, for advertisements.
Which they were great. It
What,
worked.
what were some of the ones that were?
Give me a pose. And he
License
starts
to
doing
sell.
some random, like, he's like, nobody does that pose. He's like, do something cool. He's like, He's like, I don't know what I'm supposed
What
to
was
do.
he does this like if you've ever
Like
played
he's Cactuar.
have you
from
ever
Final
played
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy? Like the cactus
Or
guy called
Cactuar.
Cactuar. Like he's just like he just does. He's like not running pose. Like it was so stupid.
It's like nobody does that. He's like, act like James Bond. He's like, I don't know what
He's
James
like,
Bond does.
what?
And he does the whole gun thing, like the gun barrel thing. He's like, it looks like you're just pointing at the camera.
And then he's like, and he goes, think like Timothy Dalton. Ooh, T-Dalt. Like then he goes
Then he does
all
his
up into
leprechaun
it.
impression instead of doing a James Bond impression. He's like, I am Bond. James Bond. Bond.
Bond. And that's where he does the get out of my car and into my dreams. What did he say? Money. He's like butchering all the lines. I can't. And
Oh, you got LA's hottest realtor.
what was the other one? He's like Pistol Pete. Like he's like, oh, he'll
Well,
sell,
he-
he'll sell your
License to
condo
Sell was
and
one.
your
Yeah.
mom's too. Yeah, license to sell. And he's like, yeah, he'll sell your condo and your mom's too. Like, like there's such cheesy billboards. But
the
then
one
you
where
have-
he's in like a Speedo or like the full body Speedo.
Oh, it's like and it's like his body was photoshopped,
Yeah, it's someone else's body with his face on it.
like him with sunglasses looking over into the side, like, and he's like this or whatever it was, like, I don't know if he was pointing or just kind of like the body was like flexing or something.
Yeah, it was a weird like what are those arm poses.
So this was at a point in the movie where, like in usual rom-coms, there's some conflict that happens, and then the two main characters split apart for a moment. And so at this point, earlier in the movie, Jason Segel's character asked him why he was marrying Rashida Jones's character, and he was like, actually not sure. And then when he confronted his fiance, hey, why are we getting married? She freaked out. She's like, you don't know why we're getting married? That's kind of strange, and we're getting married in 2 weeks. And so they kind of split off for a few scenes of the movie, and then Peter Clavin, Paul Rudd's character, then gets mad at Jason Segel. He's like, hey, I just mentioned this to her, and he's like, and she got mad at me. He's like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. And then he also realized that same day, oh, this is what he used this $8,000 for all these billboards. And so to him at that moment, he thought it was like he's like, great. So my relationship is doing terrible, and now it's like this
Ruining his
embarrassment
career.
of my career with all these random billboards. And yeah, so he's just like, hey man, pretty much like, hey man, I can't handle this. I don't want you at my
He
wedding
goes,
anymore.
yeah, he's like, we need some time apart, and it's best you don't come to the wedding. I was like, oh, that hurts. And like that was after this whole thing where there's this, they're going down Venice Beach, and they see Tevin with Lou Ferrigno like trying to squeeze in on the deal, and Sydney is kind of standing up for Peter and like getting in Lou Ferrigno's face and keeps calling him Hulk, and he's like, my name is Lou Ferrigno, and he's trying to really just like, hey, you need to back off. And then at the certain point, like Sydney tried, because Jason Segel's a tall guy, but Lou Ferrigno's bigger, so he tries to throw a punch and then immediately gets into a chokehold.
To sleeper hold.
Yeah, and like he's on the phone with his fiance. He's just like, yeah, it's Sydney. He's fighting Lou Ferrigno, and he's just like, he's really
Who
strong.
would fight Lou Ferrigno?
Who would fight Lou Ferrigno? And it's just like this whole hilarious moment, and like that on top of the whole that he's worried that the whole commission is gone. He can't open up a new property, and then he can't go ahead then and set up the future that he wanted for him and his future wife. And that's why he's sort of this whole guarded up, closed up, and freaking out moment. But it all resolves wonderfully in the end. Because the whole idea is just like, you always have a best friend. Even Peter's dad, there's a great scene with Peter's dad, played by J.K. Simmons, is talking about his best friends. And he's like, oh, my best friend is the other son, the gay son. He's like, and my friend Hank Mardukas. I've spoken to him on the phone for over 20 years. And he's like, oh, so Robbie is your other best friend? And he's like, mm-hmm. And Hank Mardukas. Like every time.
It's a weird name.
And Hank Mardukas. it's so good.
And then at the end, he does it again. He's like, now you're my best friend now too. And
Hank Mardukas.
And he's there at the wedding.
And he's there at the wedding. Hi. He's like, you two are my best friend. And Hank Mardukas.
But yeah, it got to the point that by the end, they were still going on with the wedding, and Paul Rudd goes back to all the failed mandate attempts from the beginning of the movie, and
And they're his groomsmen.
yeah, they all became his groomsmen. Even here we go, Galaxy, the
guy.
guy from the gym,
Yeah, the
old
guy,
man,
He's
Lou
well,
Ferrigno, and Doug. Doug even became one of his groomsmen. So
that's
it's like,
great. Lou Ferrigno, and then Doug was just like, "Hey, if you don't have my number, find me on Facebook." Like, because Peter's like everything turns around because Sydney's gambit worked, and everybody's calling him, and they're closing out. He's becoming like a massive big realtor, and so he drives these guys over. But the whole idea about slapping the bass is because he and Peter and Sydney jam out to Rush, and they actually go to a Rush concert. And it's funny because for once it feels like uh his fiance, Peter's fiance, now finally feels like she's like sort of like the odd man out, and she's not used to that, and so she's really like, oh my god, what's this? Why is this sort of like happening? Like it's it's just funny seeing Zoe's just like these guys are having these weird bro moments, and I don't get it. You're licking his air base. He's like, what other guys were licking other people's air bases? Come on.
And why do you have the airbase? Why do you play it so high?
It's like, because that's how you airbase. I play it normally low, but you gotta. And that was the whole time where she's like, "How would you do Jamaican?" And she's like, "Big time." It's so bad too. Big
that's
time.
probably the best scene in the movie.
It's just
It's slap at the bass.
stop it now.
She's
Okay.
like, no, sounds
Just
kind of like a leprechaun.
Yeah, a leprechaun. Again with the leprechaun. And so yeah, like the whole thing, he's really good at playing bass, so he's out there slapping the bass.
Yeah, that one funny scene where Rush did a surprise concert in, I guess, in LA, in the area they were in. And so he's like, oh man, we have to go to the concert.
But it's my date night.
Yeah, so it's HBO night because it's Sunday. We do HBO night.
So do we.
And he's like, dude, you can watch HBO whenever. And he's like, dude, it's the Holy Triumvirate is in town. And so the funny scene where he's like, can I bring my fiance? And so all three of them go to the Rush concert. And of course, Poirot and Jason Segel are going crazy, jamming to the songs.
At
And
one point,
it's
Peter is on Sydney's shoulders, and they've like a massive double man. They're just in the concert, and she's just in. Zoe's looking at this in sheer disbelief.
yeah, her face is like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Dude, it's the movie's so good. I freaking love this movie so much.
And then when they're split up, you got chocolate.
Yeah, because he's like,
Chocolat.
my favorite. What was he saying? My favorite.
What's your favorite, like, what was your
Favorite-
like favorite day?
favorite moment. He's like, oh, when we were. What was it? Yeah, what was the sequence? Like we hung out from the beach or something, and then we
We just like drank some wine and watched Chocolat.
chocolat. You mean chocolate?
He's like, no, Chocolat.
With Johnny Foo Johnny Depp movie? It's like, yeah, chocolat. It's such a good movie. And that's the time where they're having their falling out. And like this movie was like a lot of these little things between like the friendship also that Anthony and I have, because fun fact, during that time he's like, oh, I need my season 2 of Lost back because Zoe hasn't seen it yet. And throughout all the years, and Anthony was the guy lending out the Lost DVD collections to everybody. And so like the moment they brought that up, I remember us in the theater
Before
cracking up.
Netflix, guys.
Before Netflix.
That old, before Netflix.
Anthony was the physical Netflix before Netflix. And dude, I remember us cracking up because it's just like, that was a thing. I was like,
that's me.
that's
Like,
him.
you haven't seen Lost yet? Here's season 1.
Yeah, it's already here. It's a given. Watch it when you want. Yeah.
Don't know why he kept the sleeve.
Yeah, what was up with that?
I don't know.
He
He,
took
he's
it
like,
off
can I get it
and
back?
just
He's like,
like-
sure. He goes to his man cave and gets it and takes off the sleeve and gives him the actual case with all the discs. I was like, oh, that's weird.
I guess just so you could see it in the movie.
And one of my favorite things was my favorite things at the very end is when Sydney is there at the wedding, and like they're doing their whole like they're professing their like bro love, their bromance, like the together, and they're just like, I love you, dude. And he's just like, I love you, Broseph Gables. I love you, Tico Broham. Like they're just the and then
They're like interrupting
the whole
the
wedding,
wedding.
but
They're
everybody's
like,
like, this is nice.
That's enough. That's enough.
Oh no, we gotta stop now. But like they're going like, I want to know half of like, I forgot part of that. A lot of that was all like improv. It's like, I love you, bro Montana. It's there were just a lot of the fun stuff in there, man. It was really fun.
I think we kind of skipped it, but I like how he gets the call to come to the wedding, and he's already like on his way.
He was already
With the
set on like
suits
I gotta
and-
come to the wedding,
like,
man.
Like
I'm so
Rashida
sorry.
Jones sees that Paul Rudd's character is like sad that his best man won't be there, and so
What
she's
was he
like,
doing in the corner?
he was air guitaring.
He was slapping the air bass.
And so
but
she-
like sad slapping the air.
Yeah.
Like,
So she felt bad. She's like, yeah, he really needs to come, and she decides to call him, and he was already on his way. He's like, yeah, I'll be there soon.
I'll see
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
I
I'll
might have
probably
to
make it
turn
towards
around.
the end.
I'll be there by the vows. And he's just on
like, on
he
his
rides a
Vespa.
little Vespa. He riding a Vespa from the beach to that resort. But yeah, the dude did it, man. He knew. He's like, no, I got to do it. But before that, he actually sat down, got a little, in touch with his feelings, and watched Chocolat.
Not Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No.
No,
Chocolate.
Chocolat.
He watched it and like enjoyed it. He was like, stupid, but he had like a smile on his face.
The
It
funniest
was
part.
delightful.
It was delightful. The funniest part is when he's walking down the aisle and he's like doing the 1-2 step walk. I was like, "What are you doing?" You just walk up there. And the best part he mentions, like, I even saw Chocolat. It was delightful, and the whole bridal group is like, "Oh my god, yeah, it's so good." And then they're like, "Yeah, it's really good." They're like, "What?" And then what was it? Even Doug was like, "Oh, it's a very, very good film. Very good film." Like, it was freaking great. Like all the little all these little like mini jokes and these mini like fun, awkward situational things were just awesome. Yeah, the movie it's just is cohesively great from beginning to end. Like,
Kinda
and-
tied it up at the end.
We can attest to the fish tacos that they had at that restaurant.
they were, as Sydney says, the tits. He's like, it's like the picos. Yeah, you got to use your hands. And for years, Anthony's like, "Well, I have to make the tacos." Like, Anthony, you have to use your hands. They said it in the movie.
Like, yeah, but I
You
don't.
guys
I want them to make it. Yeah, we went to
I
that
put it
restaurant.
together. Yeah, we went there like during like late morning, like very early lunch. It was great. It was awesome, man. Was it James Beach?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to James Beach, and that's
Was
a plug.
quite good. Quite good.
The plug for James Beach.
Good key
You're
lime
still
pie
around.
too. Key lime pie in L.A.
Surprise! Yeah, exactly. Key lime pie in LA. That was a fun little trip down Venice Beach. But overall, yeah, this movie is one of my favorites, and I figured you guys would have loved it too.
What was your guys' favorite scene or like interaction that either Paul Rudd or Jason Segel did? Because the movie's a bunch of little interactions between them two or between them and other characters. So
I
What
loved
would-
I loved all the awkward moments that with Paul Rudd and trying to be cool and
I'm trying to think like what would a cool guy say in this moment?
then he just completely fumbles it
Yeah, man.
every time.
Totes my goats.
It was just so awkward, but so funny. Like,
Those were done really well. He is really good at playing that awkward, those awkward roles like that.
Dude, and you'd think you're like, oh, but like it's funny because like if I think Zach has seen it, but Danny hasn't. But like in Role Models, he's kind of like the
He's the
cool
opposite.
but sardonic. Like
Yeah.
he thinks he's put
Like,
together.
very
but he's-
negative guy.
Yeah, just like, this sucks. I kind of hate it, but I kind of hate the thing around. But like this one, he's just like, he's mild mannered, but not like really into it, or but not really complete, so to speak, until obviously he meets his best friend. Yeah, like all I love the just laters on the menu, like just and like he'd always like say like this weird inflection of words, and you're just like, what? It's great. Like I love
Well,
that.
'cause-
Like
'cause
Anthony said it.
That line, I even said out loud, like I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, what does that even mean?
It doesn't mean anything. He's just like, "Let's on a manje." And then he like quickly nods his head. He's like, I don't know what that. He's like,
What? Like he hangs up. He goes, "What was that?" Like he's like, Why am I so weirdly awkward right now?" Like
He
dude,
fences too.
oh man, we even talk about his
Gil.
other Gil and the other guys. So like, yeah, like Peter fences, and what's funny is that like first he's just like very like, "Hey, good game, man," whatever, and Gil is just popping off like he's like not taking the L
super
well,
pissed.
like super mad, just like F me sideways, and this is, dude, it's great.
Yeah.
But then they're in the locker room like, "Hey man, whatever, good stuff." And then like their group of friends going off doing their own thing.
That's where Nicole and Aziz Ansari is.
Aziz Ansari in these early like late 2000s, early 2010s movies, he was always saying "f you" to somebody, and that was like the memorable lines. Like, do you remember Observe and Report?
Mm-hmm.
It's like
He-
"f you, Ronnie." Him and like
he
Seth
would,
Rogen,
he would repeat it multiple times.
just like "F you, Ronnie." But it was like that whole bit there. Like it's so good, man. Like this movie, and like we talked about Sydney's friends, how they're like kind of like put together adults, and um Zoe's friend, played by Jamie Presley, her husband, as we talked about, is John Favreau. They do like a drinks and poker night kind of thing, and like Peter just cannot hang with that. And he's also like, I don't know, I'm playing poker, and just like houses all of them. Just
He's like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
he's
okay.
just
I
like,
guess I
why
will."
would you do that? Like, just like completely like, he's just like, like calling, like getting hit by the scrub, like what he thinks is the Barry is his name, getting hit by all the what he calls the scrub tactics. But yeah, like all those little moments like just add to just, they're just always funny. Like there's never a not funny moment. Like even him hanging out with his dog Anwar, named after former Egyptian President Anwar Sadat. Like this every little thing just builds and builds on it, and it's just really really great. Like even like we watched it with Danny's girlfriend, and she was really like understanding a lot of like even like the girl stuff, like the talk between girls, and like how there's this stuff in relationships. She's like, oh, this is really relatable and really funny. And it's like, it's just a testament, just like it's funny. She was like, I don't plan on watching this. And then she's like, well, sorry, watch. She's like, no, I'm going to watch this whole thing. This is great. So, yeah, that was great. Like
all the John Favreau moments are also
It's so good.
top tier.
When
Such
he
a-
throws up
Such
on
a
him,
jerk, man.
dude, he and his wife argue all the time, and all they just have like, they have really loud makeup sex. I need to get out of here. Like, and he's just like, you're gonna be a cheerleader tonight. And it's just like, it's like no, we're
And she's always like,
we're gonna do it the
Like,
light.
just
We're
let
gonna do it
him
the
play
lights
poker.
on.
Just let him play poker.
He's like,
and then she'll pause and she's like, okay.
okay.
yeah, we're gonna do it with the lights on, just like we did in Vacation. Okay, like it's just like what? Like it's you think it's dysfunctional, but it works. Yeah, like it just feels really like real. Like it just seems really like it felt like, for it being a comedy, like nothing too completely over the top.
Yeah, like it wasn't trying to be funny. Like it wasn't
It
trying
was funny.
too
Yeah,
hard
it
to
was
be
just funny,
like a lot
and
of
funny
comedy.
things happen, and you're like, oh, this is great. It's not like things came up unexpectedly, but also naturally. That's what it feels like to me. That's why
It kind
really
of feels like
sticks.
watching like a Judd Apatow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of same people that are in the Apatow movies in this movie.
Yeah.
So
I
it
mean,
almost feels like
Paul Rudd is
Apatow
in 40-Year-Old
adjacent.
Virgin.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
And I think also in Knocked Up and
Yep.
This is
Yep.
40.
and this is 40.
And Sarah Marshall, they're both in that movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both eat tacos together in that movie too. Fun little trivia.
I hope I can be as observant as Sydney and be able to view when someone's about to fart. Because he's like, oh man, that dude's about to fart. He's like,
Watch
look,
the leg
he's
lift.
like, look, he's clinching. Oh, he's signaling his girlfriend to go over there.
Oh, see,
Oh
he's-
yeah, honey, go check out the kitchen. I'll just be over here. He's like, wait for it.
Lifts the
wait for
leg
it.
like slightly.
Watch the legs.
that was
Boom.
play by play.
Boom, there's a fart.
That was a cool
And
like
he-
introduction.
Then he crop dusts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he crops us. He's like, I know my farts.
And then when the guy's like, hey, it's a nice house, but I don't think we're gonna go with this one. He's like, yeah, and it totally smells like fart. And the guy made a face, and he's like, okay.
And I think even the girlfriend was like, what is he talking about?
It's just like, he drives a Saab, which is a nice car, but it's not for a $4 million house. That was
I
the
think
best
we
part
were
of
in
the
another
scene was
house.
great.
This one's a little too small.
What
Yeah.
a great introduction to his character.
His character is like, yeah, it smells like fart.
You see, that was one of the scenes that I had seen before, and I'm like, okay, I remember this. Like, it was something stupid, but like or something funny and dumb about farts and all that.
And what was great too is when Sydney leaves the house, he just goes to random like other people going in. He goes, hello. Like it was just like out of nowhere. He's like, this guy's cool, kind of weird too. And you could see it in Peter's eyes. It's like, that guy's interesting. And like they exchanged business cards and like, all right, it's cool. It's pretty cool, man. But overall, like, I don't know, should we do like a scoring, or is it
Sure.
just like I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I should score. I can't score it, but I'll
gotta-
open. It was the movie
you
I
gotta
picked,
score
so
it.
I'm not gonna score it.
You have to.
No, that
We
doesn't work.
I scored the one that I picked.
Fine,
We've
8.5.
all scored it.
Ooh,
I'm just gonna say 8.5. It's really good. It's one of the better comedies I've seen in my life. So it's, yeah, there we go. I don't know.
All right,
I
Anthony?
start off immediately.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oof. I think I would go 8.52, a hard 8.5.
Oh,
Very, yeah, we saw this when we were in college, easily very quotable. So like we constantly throughout our friend group, like at FIU, we would always be coming back to the lines of these movies. This one, Role Models, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Wedding Crashers, like all those like mid 2000 comedies. But yeah, this one's pretty awesome.
nice.
Yeah. Hard disagree with the IMDb rating of 7.
Also, random anecdote. I told you guys the other day that, like in 2016, I went to LA, to visit a friend, and throughout in that trip, I got tickets to go see an LA Galaxy game, versus the Seattle Sounders, and I did not know they were gonna do this. I just went because I wanted to see those two teams together because I know my uncle likes the Seattle Sounders, and because Dempsey was playing and so was Donovan. So like, those are two really good
Oh, nice.
players that used to be in
Yeah.
our USA team. And then I think it was either halftime or just before halftime, the Jumbotron goes onto somebody in the crowd and it's freaking Jolo Chulio doing the same thing from the character of this movie, ramping up the everybody in the stands. He's going, "Here we go, Galaxy." And I was like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, do people like know about this movie enough for like them to understand what this joke is? And I recorded it. I have a video of it on my phone. I have proof.
You have to pull it up
Dude,
one of these
It's
days.
Yeah, we
it
gotta
was
see it.
amazing. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the one time I go to LA and then I go to a random soccer game and then this happens. I was like, so I thought it was even. I probably thought it was funnier than most people that were there. But yeah, it was amazing.
Surreal. I would have paid double the ticket
like,
just to
"Let's
know that would
go,
happen.
Galaxy,
Here we
let's
go. Like, here we go, Galaxy. Here we go. And the great thing is, talking about another Paul Rudd movie, Role Models. Joe Truglio is in that one too, and it's just like a sort of like a recurring thing of awesomeness.
Yeah, he's in Super Bad. Yeah, he's great. He's in
It's-
Brooklyn
it's-
Nine-Nine.
And it's funny because like again like we went to a Comic-Con one year and we saw it was a couple years after I Love You Man came out, and we saw
Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno, and he was massive, and Anthony's trying to like squeeze by to take a picture, but his sound was on, so he heard a picture of me, and like he kind of looked around. I was like, dude, get the
Yeah,
I don't want to get
I ran
choked.
away, dude.
I was like, I don't want to get choked out by Lou Ferrigno.
Wait, why were you?
because it's one of those where like he's
gotta
there
pay
for
for the-
signings or pictures, and you have to
You
pay for it.
that.
oh, gotcha.
But I was just
Okay.
kind of just like doing a drive-by picture, and I was like, but my vibrate wasn't on, so you heard that from my
Yep.
from my camera. It's like, oh crap, I gotta go.
It's so good.
But yeah. So what do you guys rate it?
I think I'll also give it like an 8.5.
Nice.
I
Nice,
didn't,
nice.
this is the first time I saw it, so I didn't get to see it back then. But I feel like if this movie's on anywhere at any time, I'll sit down and watch it and be like, oh, I gotta rewatch
Yeah,
it.
it's definitely one of those that you just gotta like stop
Absolutely.
surfing and watch.
Yeah,
It's a bromantic comedy, man.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah.
who doesn't
Romantic
like
comedy.
a good bromance movie?
I love the montage. It was just like the montage of them like getting to know each other and jamming out and listening to Rush. It was like a couple minute montage of Rush
Like-
music.
When they're
playing
on the- I
Tom
love that
Tom
they're-
Sawyer, yeah.
They're on the Vespa, and they're just like, yeah, around it. Yeah. The Tom Sawyer bit is just like, and he's trying to explain it to Zoe. Zoe has never heard of Rush, and he's like, today's Tom Sawyer. It's like, yesterday, Mimi Warrior. Today's Tom Sawyer. Like he doesn't like. He's trying to like go in to sing it like Geddy Lee, and she's just like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, slap it, and then that's when you get the slap of the
Slapping
bass. You know, he's an axe man.
Slapping the bass. He
Sydney's
says it
an
like
axe man.
10 different
Slap
ways.
the bass.
He says it in every way possible.
There's at the very end of it, you can tell that like she's cracking like he broke Rashida Jones. Like it's like she's just there, like she kind of looks down, and then they cut to something else, to another scene. I was like, that's where he broke her. Like that's where it was. Like it was too good.
Because he's like, oh yeah, I'll stop. Slap in the
Yes,
bed.
man. So good, man.
So Zach, is it a 5 like Top Gun?
It's a 3. No.
Oh,
Damn!
No,
oh my
no, I'm
goodness,
on the
dude.
I'm on
Actually,
There's
it's
no
true,
way
the
because you
sleeper
were
holds right
laughing a lot. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely on the same boat as everyone else. Like 8.5. I'm gonna go with 8.5. It's
Yeah.
definitely a really enjoyable comedy, a well done comedy. Like I said earlier, not one of those like dumb funny. It's actually like it's it's more thought out, and it's really good, and a cool story too.
Yeah, man. I'm glad. I'm honestly, I knew you guys like it. I mean, it's a recommendation. I kind of wanted to get something that everyone isn't, but like, let's get something that kind of break the ice with some of these recommendations. Especially, you can get two perspectives of the film from both myself and Anthony. So, I knew you guys would like it. It's really, really good.
Nice.
With that being said, let's pivot over finally to close it out with Danny. It's now Danny's turn to give us a recommendation.
Yes, it is. So I'm going to recommend a movie that came out in 2018.
Ooh.
Not sure if any of you have seen it. But this one is a really cool low budget movie. But the way that they shot it and the way that they do some of the scenes, it's very interesting. They're just coming out with like a sequel right now. I don't know if it's related completely to like the same family, but it's the same style. Movie's called Searching.
Oh yeah.
The sequel now is
Missing.
Missing, but this one's Searching, and you got John Cho is the lead, and the way that they shot this film is all through like a computer screen, an iPhone screen, security
Yeah, pretty much
cameras,
any other type of camera.
like any other camera that's not like a main camera. But the way they did it was very interesting, and the way the movie progresses as they're trying to search for his daughter keeps you on your toes. So I want to see what you guys think of it, and I don't know if either of you guys have seen it.
I've seen it, but I'll watch it again. I saw it a while back.
I have not seen it actually.
I have not seen Missing though.
Cool.
Yeah. I would I've not seen it. I remember seeing it and at first like, this looks kind of hokey, but the buzz around it was really good.
Yeah.
For it being like a type of like mystery thriller.
Sometimes you think like the way that that's shot, you're like, this could be like very annoying or like not as good, but I think they executed it very well.
Did you guys ever watch Buried?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's similar to that. I was like, it's going to be goofy. And then we watched it. We're like, wow, this was not what we expected. So we're looking at Missing.
No,
Searching.
No, Searching.
Searching.
Missing is the
is coming
sequel.
out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
out now.
But
Missing is out
Searching.
now in theaters.
Yeah. Searching is what we're watching for next week. All right,
Mhm.
cool. All right. So stay tuned till next time. We'll get my thoughts, especially, but no, just mine. No, but we'll get the thoughts of the group around Searching. And if you're listening in, give it a watch as well and give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you guys think, what you all think as well. And best way to do that is reach out to us through our socials. Check us out on Popcorn Watchlist on Twitter, Instagram, and of course, if you're listening to this on your podcast platform of choice. Thanks so much for tuning in. And check us out again next time. Stay poppin'.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye bye.
I love you, man.
I love you too.
Love you too, man.